Hello, this is David Birch at Starpath School of Navigation in Seattle with a update on Jacob Adoram's row across Pacific, and he's been kind of in the slumps here. Remember, it's a big boat, and really has to have favorable wind to make good progress, and he's not had that, wind or current. Wind and current have been against him in these past few days. Remember, each of these red dots is a day, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's really been a bad 10 days here since about here. But anyway, it looks like that the progress in the wrong direction is sort of like stopped here. These are averages. The points that we're putting here are the average over 3 hours, average of the 3-hour positions. And then you can see what's going on. If you look at the wind, it's always best, the A-scat wind is the real truth. And you see he's got like 10 knots in the wrong direction, 10 knots to the east. And that's not, that's apparently enough to push the boat off. And then the other satellite misses him. You could look at the currents. Here's Artoff's currents just updated today. And you see what the problem is. These currents here are like a knot and a half. Look on the scale here. See the scale, this kind of blue. He was, these currents are, you can't guarantee that this current right here is not the same as this over here, right? This is all kind of a little bit up in the air. But you see, in this region, we know there exist currents that look at this green here. What green is that? That's like a knot or so current here. And this is half a knot here. So this is, remember, in a good conditions, he can row the boat at a 1.5 knots. So when you get 3/4 of a half a knot against you, plus the wind against you, he's just not going to make progress here. And that's what we're seeing. That's the Artoffs. If we look at the Oscars currents are, mixed up, but these are real light values. These are the averages over 8 days. And again, though, we see that even in the averages, there are in the neighborhood currents of, approaching 1 knot. Now, they're not agreeing in the direction, and we haven't really had much luck in the dependability of the current forecasts. And then let's see what else we can look at. You can look at the surface analysis, and there's nothing going on. There's nothing going on there. There's a low, and we'll look at this in the GFS winds. There's a low that's trying to form here. It oscillates around, it gets a little low, then it goes away and comes back. Let's look at that in a minute. The winds from, let me shut this off. You see, okay, so, look, we're in the southern hemisphere, so normally in northern hemisphere, winds going like this would be a high. We're down in the southern hemisphere, 5 degrees, 10 degrees south. So now we get used to winds going in a low going this direction. So that's a good training to go down here and watch the weather for a while. But you see this low here is there. Let's see what it does the next day, 24 hours. Forecast. See, it's moving down here, but still there. And then again, elongating out into a trough there. And now here is a big kind of a long trough this way. But this some days later, that's like 3 days later, this shows wind taking him to the south. Okay, so let's take a quick look then at we're looking at the FV3 GFS model, and this is today's position about right here. And then we can look at his position. Let's just look right here. Suppose he doesn't move. This is just a meteogram. Let's take that right in this area here. So if he doesn't move at all, we see the pressure kind of going down as that low is trying to form down there. But if he doesn't move at all, this wind is still 10, what's this? 15 knots. There's the scale up here, 15 knots 15 knots out of the west, all the way up here, and it's kind of coming around that way. Notice too, here's rain. That's like 50 millimeters of rain. That's a 3-hour total rain. That's a lot of rain. But you see the squalls here. These are the reflectivity. So this is right now. In fact, we're looking at live stuff. So he's in squalls today, all day, and they're going to get worse tonight. So that doesn't help either when you're in total squally conditions to make any kind of progress, because the wind's all over the place and so forth. Now, the other thing we could do is say, that's looking at conditions if he doesn't move. Let's say somehow he can start putting along there at 1.5 knots down this rum line here. And that's what this is. This is his mediogram if he can move 1.5 knots on the rum line. And that, you see, it still takes clear till Friday before he gets any wind pointing south at all. And still no change in the squall activity. So that's the report. It's not real encouraging right now, but he's got a sound boat, and he's obviously got a program that's steady and working, and just has to punch through this.